The desert world was endless and silent. Wind carried fine red dust across empty plains, shaping the land into dunes and ridges. The planet had no name that humans used, only a number in the explorer charts. Yet the locals who lived far from the ruins whispered of it as the place of the Blood Pyramid. Mara stood at the top of a rocky ridge, scanning the horizon through her visor. The sun here burned with a pale light, casting long shadows across the desert floor. She had dreamed of this moment for years. Many explorers had searched for lost alien wonders, but few had found anything beyond broken stones and empty ruins. What lay before her was no ordinary ruin. It was massive, alive with strange energy, and waiting to be revealed. Beside her, Darren adjusted the scanner strapped to his arm. He was a scientist, calm and thoughtful, always studying rather than rushing. "The readings are strong," he said. "The structure is below this ridge. The ground energy is unusual. Almost like it is pulsing." Mara smiled with determination. "Then we are close. Humanity has to see this. We cannot let others claim it first." Behind them, Rolf and two more crew members carried heavy packs of supplies. Rolf was a soldier, tall and steady, always watching the surroundings. He trusted Mara, though he often warned her about taking risks. "The locals said no one should come here," he reminded. "They said the pyramid takes life." Mara's eyes did not move from the horizon. "Legends always speak of curses. But sometimes those legends guard something real." They moved down the slope, their boots sinking into soft sand. Hours passed before they reached the wide basin where the land dipped down. There, rising from the sand like a jagged tooth, was the pyramid. It was taller than any building on Earth, its black stone walls covered in red lines that glowed faintly even in daylight. The surface looked smooth, but when they stepped closer, they saw that every block was carved with symbols. The shapes were not like any known alien language. Some lines looked like veins, carrying light that moved slowly, almost like blood. The air grew heavy around them. Darren touched the stone carefully with a gloved hand. The red light flickered as if it felt his presence. He stepped back quickly. "It reacted," he whispered. "This structure is not dead. It is awake." The other crew members looked uneasy. One muttered a prayer. Rolf placed a hand on his weapon, though it would do little against stone. Mara, however, felt her heart racing not with fear but with wonder. "We are standing in front of history," she said. "An alien race built this long before humans left Earth. Think of what knowledge lies inside. Think of the treasure, not of gold or gems, but of wisdom and power. This is why we came." That night they set up camp near the base of the pyramid. The wind howled, carrying a strange low hum that seemed to come from the stone itself. None of them slept easily. Darren studied the symbols under lamplight, tracing them on his pad. Rolf kept watch, eyes always on the dark entrance they had found halfway up the pyramid's side. When morning came, the team gathered at the entrance. The doorway was tall, shaped like a triangle within the stone. No door blocked the way, but darkness stretched inside, deeper than their lights could reach. One of the crew hesitated. "Maybe the locals were right. This place feels wrong." Mara turned to them, her eyes sharp. "Every great discovery feels dangerous. Humanity did not reach the stars by staying safe. If we turn back now, others will come and claim it. This is our chance to prove what humans can do." Her words lit a fire in them. Even Rolf gave a slow nod, though he kept his hand near his weapon. Darren adjusted his scanner once more, sighing but following. Together they stepped across the threshold. The air inside was cool and heavy, carrying a faint metallic taste. The walls glowed faintly with red veins, guiding their path. Their lights cut through the dark, showing long corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. Symbols covered every surface. Darren whispered as he walked, "It feels like we are inside a body, moving through its veins." Rolf grunted. "Then let us not become its blood." They reached a wide chamber where the ceiling rose high above. Murals covered the walls, carved deep into the stone. The images showed creatures from many different worlds, some with wings, others with scales, others tall and thin with eyes like glass. All were kneeling before the pyramid, their hands raised as if in offering. Above them, the pyramid itself was drawn as a giant figure, drinking in light from their bodies. The crew stared in silence. Even Mara felt a chill now. The pictures were clear. This place was not only a tomb or temple. It was something far older, something that had taken from many species before them. Darren lowered his pad slowly. The locals were not lying. The pyramid takes life. That is what it has always done. Rolf stepped closer to the mural, tracing the lines of one figure. If that is true, we should not go further. Mara's voice was steady, though she felt the weight of his words. If we stop now, we will never know the truth. Humanity cannot grow if we turn away from fear. We must see what lies ahead. The chamber fell silent again. The red glow from the walls pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. The pyramid was listening, waiting. And with that, their journey into the blood pyramid had only begun. The silence of the pyramid was unlike any silence they had known before. It was not just the absence of sound, but something deeper, like the walls themselves were swallowing every breath and every step. Mara led the group down a sloping corridor, her light beam cutting across the red veins that pulsed within the stone. Each pulse echoed faintly through the air, slow and steady, like the beat of a giant heart. Darren checked his scanner again and frowned. Strange. The walls are filled with energy, but it does not match any element we know. It flows like blood, only it is not liquid. It is something else. Rolf kept his weapon ready, though he doubted it would help against glowing stone. Feels like we are walking inside a beast, he muttered. I don't like it. Mara looked back at him, her expression calm but firm. We came here to learn, not to fear. If this place is alive in some way, then that makes it even more important. Imagine what secrets lie deeper. They reached another chamber, smaller than the first, but filled with strange carvings. Shapes of circles within circles covered the floor. In the center stood a stone pedestal with a shallow bowl carved into it. The bowl glowed faintly red. Darren crouched near it, shining his light. It looks like some kind of key slot, but not for metal. It almost seems like it expects something organic. One of the crew leaned closer. Food. Maybe an offering. Before anyone could test, Rolf stepped back sharply. No. Look at the edge. That is not for food. That is for blood. The word hung heavy in the chamber. Mara walked closer, her boots clicking softly on the stone. She studied the pedestal with sharp eyes. If that is true, then the legends may have been right. The pyramid may ask for blood before it opens further. Darren shook his head. If it truly wants blood, then it is dangerous. This is not just a building. It is a machine that feeds. We should not give it what it wants. The others shifted uneasily. No one wanted to be the first to test such a thing. As they debated, Mara touched the wall near the pedestal, tracing the red veins with her fingers. The glow pulsed faster for a moment. She turned back to the group. We cannot turn away now. Even if it asks for a price, we must know what lies inside. Humanity must be the one to uncover this. Not the Thrixans, not any other race. Us. Her determination spread through them, though unease still lingered. The decision was made for them a moment later. Darren, while examining symbols on the pedestal, slipped on the dusty floor and scraped his hand against the stone. A thin line of blood ran from his palm into the bowl. The chamber shook. The veins along the walls flared bright red, and the pedestal sank into the ground with a low grinding sound. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a dark passage beyond. The crew froze in shock. Darren pulled his hand back quickly, wrapping it in cloth. His face was pale. It drank my blood. Only a drop, but it was enough. Rolf growled under his breath. So it is true. The pyramid takes life to open its path. Mara stepped forward, gazing into the new corridor. The air from within was cooler, fresher, almost as if it had been sealed for centuries. Then we know the price. But we also know the way forward. Every step deeper may ask more from us. We must be ready. They entered the passage. The floor sloped downward, and their lights revealed walls covered in carvings of figures walking into the pyramid. Each figure left behind a glowing trace, like streams of blood flowing into the stone. Darren whispered as they walked. It has fed on many before us. I can see it in the carvings. This is no tomb. It is a system, a living machine that harvests from anyone who dares enter. Rolf kept glancing back, uneasy. Then why are we still here? Mara's voice was steady. Because if this place is truly a machine that takes life, then someone will try to use it as a weapon. We must understand it before they do. Knowledge is our shield. The corridor ended in a wide hall. The ceiling stretched high, filled with shadow, while the floor was a grid of stone tiles. Strange holes lined the walls, some as small as coins, others large enough to swallow a person. One crew member stepped onto the floor. Instantly, the first row of tiles glowed bright red. The ground shifted with a rumble, and thin beams of light shot across the hall, cutting the air like blades. The crew member jumped back with a cry, and the lights vanished as quickly as they came. Mara studied the pattern carefully. It is a trap. The pyramid defends itself, and it answers to blood. Every mistake will cost a life. They stood in silence, the weight of her words heavy in the air. Darren's face was grim. So it begins. This is no simple ruin. Every step forward is a price in blood. Mara raised her head, her eyes filled with iron resolve. Then we will pay it carefully, not with fear, but with courage. This is humanity's path now. We will see it through. The pyramid pulsed once more, as if it understood her vow, and the glow along the walls deepened like a beating heart. Their journey into the blood-filled mystery had only just begun. The hall stretched before them like the mouth of a beast, silent yet waiting. The grid of stone tiles glimmered faintly, the red veins beneath glowing in steady rhythm. The crew hesitated at the edge, none eager to step forward again after seeing the deadly beams. Mara studied the floor carefully. It reacts when we cross. The pattern must be solved, not rushed. Every step is a choice. Darren adjusted his scanner, but the device flickered and showed only static. He shook his head. The pyramid blocks my readings. I cannot see which tiles are safe. Rolf's eyes narrowed. Then it means blood again. That is how it opened last time. Mara nodded slowly. Perhaps. But we cannot risk everyone. Only one of us should test the path. Silence followed. No one wanted to be the first to try. Finally, Rolf stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his eyes were sharp. I will do it. A soldier is meant to take the first risk. He placed his foot on the first tile. Nothing happened. He moved to the second. A faint hum filled the air, but no beams came. On the third tile, a small blade shot from the wall, cutting across his arm before vanishing. Blood dripped to the floor, and the red veins pulsed brighter. At once, a line of tiles ahead lit up, forming a clear path through the hall. Darren gasped. It demanded blood to show the way. Rolf wrapped his wound with a strip of cloth and gave a tight smile. Then at least my pain was not for nothing. Come. Follow the path before it fades. One by one, the crew moved carefully across the glowing tiles. The path guided them safely to the far side. Behind them, the light faded again, leaving the hall dark and silent once more. The next chamber was wide and circular, its walls carved with even more murals. Strange alien figures filled the scenes. They were of many shapes and forms, but all knelt in the same way, arms raised toward a towering pyramid at the center of the images. Above them, red streams flowed from their bodies into the stone. Darren moved closer, tracing the carvings with trembling fingers. This proves it. The pyramid takes life as its key. Not only to open doors but to grow stronger. These murals are records of sacrifices made over centuries. One of the younger crew members spoke in a shaky voice. Why would anyone build such a thing? Why would anyone give their lives to it? Mara's answer came quietly. Because they believed it was power. And perhaps, for them, it was. In the center of the chamber stood a raised platform. Upon it lay a crystal shaped like a heart, glowing faintly red. It pulsed in rhythm with the walls, as if sharing the same breath. The crew gathered around it, uncertain. Darren leaned forward with awe in his eyes. This must be one of its cores. The pyramid is not simply stone. It is alive, and these crystals are part of its system? They feed on life force. Rolf frowned. Then destroying it may stop the pyramid. Mara shook her head. Or it may awaken something worse. We cannot strike without knowing. They debated in low voices, their words echoing softly. Finally, Mara raised her hand. Enough. We are not here to destroy yet. We are here to learn. If humanity can understand this, we may prevent others from abusing it. Her decision was firm, but not all agreed. Darren's face was troubled. Knowledge is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a curse. We are feeding this place with every drop of blood we give. How long before it demands more than cuts and scratches? The others grew quiet. His words lingered in the heavy air. Their fears proved right when they attempted to leave the chamber. The exit was sealed by another stone door, smooth and unbroken. On its surface was a shallow groove shaped like a hand. Above it, symbols glowed faintly. Mara studied it and translated aloud. The path opens with the gift of life. Rolf groaned softly. It wants blood again. Perhaps more this time. Without waiting for orders, one crew member pressed his hand into the groove. The stone cut deep into his palm, and blood poured into the channel. The wall trembled, the symbols glowed brighter, and the door slid open slowly. The crew hurried through, but the cost was heavy. The man staggered, pale from blood loss. Darren supported him quickly, bandaging the wound. This is only the beginning, he warned. Every door will ask for more. This pyramid is not just a machine. It is a hunger that never ends. They continued deeper, the corridors twisting and turning like the veins of some great creature. The red glow pulsed faster now, almost eager. Each step seemed to draw them further into the pyramid's grasp. At last they reached a chamber filled with remains. Bones of countless alien species lay scattered across the floor. Some were small, some massive, some shaped in ways no human had seen before. All bore the same mark, their bones were drained, hollow, as if every drop of life had been taken. The crew froze in horror. Rolf raised his weapon though there was nothing to fight. This is where they fell. This is the price the pyramid took. Darren covered his mouth, his voice trembling. So many species, and all ended the same. They came for treasure, but they paid with their lives. Mara stood in the center, gazing at the bones, her face unreadable. Then we must choose. Do we go forward and risk the same fate, or turn back and leave the secret for others to find? Her words hung in the chamber like a challenge. The crew looked at one another, their eyes filled with fear, but also with the spark of human stubbornness. Mara's voice grew strong again. We came here for truth. We cannot stop now. We must see where this path leads, no matter the price. The red glow pulsed brighter, as if the pyramid itself approved. And with that choice, their fate was sealed. The deeper they went, the more the pyramid seemed alive. The walls throbbed faintly with red light, pulsing faster now, as if feeding on their presence. Every chamber they entered felt warmer than the last, and the air grew heavy with the scent of metal. Mara led the way, her torch beam steady, but her mind was restless. The murals, the blood offerings, the drained bones, everything pointed to one truth. This place was built to take life and store it. But for what purpose? That answer still hid in the heart of the pyramid. They reached a chamber shaped like a triangle, its walls covered in mirrors of polished stone. Their reflections wavered in the red glow, as if the pyramid were studying them. Darren adjusted his scanner but shook his head again. The deeper we go, the less I can read. The energy here is stronger than anything I have seen. Rolf stepped closer to one of the mirrors, frowning. These walls are not just for reflection. They are watching us. Before Mara could reply, a faint rumble shook the ground. The crew froze. The sound grew louder, echoing through the corridors behind them. Then came the sharp clang of metal against stone, followed by guttural voices speaking in harsh tones. Darren's eyes widened. We are not alone. Someone else has entered. Mara's heart sank. She knew that sound. The Thrixans. The crew turned toward the doorway, weapons raised. Soon, figures stepped into view, tall, scaled warriors in dark armor, their yellow eyes gleaming in the red light. The Thrixan hunters were feared across the galaxy, not for honor, but for their ruthless drive to claim power. And now they stood inside the pyramid, blocking the path behind. Their leader, a broad-shouldered Thrixan with a scar across his snout, hissed with satisfaction. So it is true. Humans found the blood pyramid. And you have kindly opened its doors for us. Rolf tightened his grip on his weapon. You should not be here. This place will eat you alive. The Thrixan leader laughed, a low, rasping sound. Let it try. We came for what sleeps inside. The pyramid is said to hold power that can make empires kneel. That power belongs to us. Mara stepped forward, her voice steady though her pulse raced. You do not understand. This pyramid does not give power. It takes life. If you feed it, you will lose everything. The Thrixan's eyes narrowed. Then let it feed. We have many lives to give. He motioned to his warriors, who spread into the chamber, weapons gleaming. The crew braced for battle, but before the fight could begin, the pyramid itself reacted. The mirrors on the walls shimmered, and the red veins glowed brighter than before. The ground shook violently, and jagged spikes of stone burst from the floor, piercing the air between the two groups. A deep hum filled the chamber, vibrating in their bones. Darren staggered. It is reacting to the conflict. The pyramid is feeding on our tension. A Thrixan warrior stepped forward and fired his weapon. The blast struck one of the mirrors, and the beam reflected back, hitting him in the chest. He fell with a scream, his body crumbling into ash. The pyramid absorbed the glowing dust into its walls, and the red veins pulsed faster, brighter. Mara's voice rang out over the chaos. It is using us. Every death makes it stronger. The Thrixan leader snarled and swung his blade at the stone, but the walls only grew brighter. Another Thrixan fell as beams of red energy shot across the chamber, striking with perfect aim. Rolf pulled Mara back as one beam nearly cut her down. We cannot fight both them and this place. We must move. Mara nodded quickly. Deeper, now. The crew rushed through a side corridor, the Thrixans close behind. The pyramid twisted around them, corridors shifting like moving veins, sealing some paths and opening others. It was as if the pyramid wanted them both inside, wanted their struggle, wanted their blood. They stumbled into another chamber, this one filled with towering pillars. The tops glowed red, and arcs of energy leapt between them like lightning. The air buzzed with power. The Thrixans stormed in after them, weapons raised, but the pyramid struck first. The arcs of energy lashed out, striking warriors from both sides. One human crew member fell, their body glowing red before vanishing into the floor. A Thrixan collapsed moments later, his life drained into the walls. Darren shouted above the chaos. It is pulling us into its game. It wants conflict, wants sacrifice. The more we fight, the more it feeds. Mara's mind raced. She knew Darren was right. The pyramid had lured them here, and now it was using them to power itself. If they kept fighting the Thrixans, none of them would survive. She raised her voice, desperate and commanding. Stop fighting. Every life we lose only makes the pyramid stronger. If we continue, none of us will leave alive. For a brief moment, even the Thrixans hesitated. The red lightning crackled around them, hungry for more. The leader's eyes burned with greed, but he was not blind to what he saw. Still, his voice was cold. If the pyramid is fed by life, then let it feed on humans first. The chamber erupted again. Mara ducked as beams slashed overhead. Rolf returned fire, while Darren pulled another crew member out of the path of falling stone. The Thrixans advanced, but each step cost them dearly as the pyramid lashed at both sides. Finally, the chamber began to collapse, the pillars crumbling, the lightning snapping wild. Mara shouted, "Fall back! Deeper into the core!" The crew sprinted toward a dark passage that opened ahead, the Thrixans charging after them. The pyramid sealed the way behind, trapping both humans and Thrixans together. As the dust settled, Mara's heart pounded. She realized there was no turning back now. The pyramid had claimed them both, and it would not let go until it had taken all it wanted. The blood pyramid had become a battlefield, and the true fight was only beginning. The passage carried them downward in a twisting path. The air grew colder, though the red glow of the veins brightened with every step. The walls seemed closer now, as if the pyramid itself were pressing in on them. None spoke as they moved. The silence was broken only by their boots on the stone and the faint hum that rose from the deep. At last, the passage opened into a vast chamber. The sight froze them in place. The room was round, stretching high above like the inside of a great dome. In the center stood a towering crystal heart, larger than a human building, pulsing with red light. Its glow filled the chamber, each beat steady, like the rhythm of a living creature. Darren's eyes widened in awe. This is it. The core of the pyramid. The source of everything. The Thrixans, who had followed close behind, stepped into the chamber as well. Their leader's face twisted with greed. He raised his blade toward the glowing heart. Behold the treasure. Power beyond measure. This is what we came for. Mara held her ground. You are blind. That is not treasure. It is a machine that feeds on life. Look at it. It breathes like a beast. It is not meant to give power. It is meant to take it. But the Thrixan leader did not listen. He motioned to his warriors. Prepare to take it. Once it is ours, no empire will stand against us. As the Thrixans spread across the chamber, the murals on the walls began to glow. The carvings showed scenes of entire planets kneeling before the pyramid. Beams of red light flowed from countless bodies into the heart at the center. Some murals even showed stars dimming, as if the pyramid could drain not just creatures but whole worlds. Darren whispered with horror. It harvested life from across galaxies. This is not a temple. It is a weapon. Rolf raised his weapon toward the Thrixans. We cannot let them control it. If they succeed, they will drain worlds until nothing remains. The Thrixans advanced toward the heart, but the pyramid stirred. The crystal pulsed faster, and the floor trembled. Red streams of light burst from the walls and wrapped around the pillars that circled the chamber. The light formed barriers, cutting off paths and trapping warriors in corners. One Thrixan reached the heart and touched it with his armored hand. At once, a surge of energy struck him. His body glowed red, and in seconds he was drained to dust. The heart pulsed brighter, stronger. The veins on the walls flared as if drinking his life. The Thrixan leader roared with anger but also with desire. It feeds on us, but it grows in power. If we master it, we will command the stars. Mara's voice rose above the noise. You cannot master it. No one can. It only knows hunger. The chamber shook again, harder this time. Large chunks of stone fell from above, crashing onto the floor. The humans huddled near a broken wall while the Thrixans tried to regroup. The heart's glow now filled the chamber so strongly that it stung their eyes. Darren grabbed Mara's arm, his voice sharp. We must make a choice. Destroy it or escape. If the Thrixans take control, everything ends. Rolf stood tall beside them. Escape is no longer possible. The pyramid seals every path we take. It wants us here. The only way is to stop it. Mara looked at the heart, its glow reflecting in her eyes. She knew Rolf was right. But how could they destroy something so vast, so ancient, so alive? The answer came from the murals. She noticed one image different from the rest. It showed a figure stepping willingly into the heart itself, and the pyramid collapsing afterward. Unlike the other carvings, where streams of light fed into the core, this one showed the figure becoming light that broke it apart. Mara pointed to it. Look. The only way to end it is from within. A sacrifice. One life given not to feed it but to tear it open. The crew fell silent. The weight of her words pressed on all of them. Darren's face paled. That means one of us must, he did not finish. Rolf's jaw tightened. Then we decide quickly. Because the Thrixans will not wait. The Thrixan leader had heard enough of their words. He raised his weapon and shouted to his warriors. Kill the humans. The heart belongs to us. Battle erupted in the chamber. Red beams from the heart lashed out, striking both sides without care. The pyramid wanted conflict. It wanted blood. The humans fought with desperation, dodging falling stone and deadly light. Mara shouted orders, trying to keep her crew alive, but she knew their strength was failing. The Thrixans had more numbers, but even they fell quickly under the pyramid's hunger. Darren pulled her close in the chaos. His eyes were calm, though his face was pale with fear. You are right, Mara. This thing cannot be claimed. It must be ended. And I know what the murals mean. The heart does not need a victim. It needs a willing sacrifice. Her eyes widened. No, Darren. We will find another way. He shook his head. There is no other way. Humanity must live, and the galaxy must be free of this monster. Promise me you will lead them out. Before she could stop him, Darren turned and ran toward the crystal heart, his body glowing in its red light. The pyramid pulsed harder, sensing what was about to come. The chamber shook violently as Darren ran toward the crystal heart. The red light pulsed brighter, spreading across the walls and floor like fire. Mara shouted at him, but the noise of collapsing stone and crackling energy swallowed her voice. Rolf tried to stop him, but Darren waved him aside. There is no time. If I do not do this, the pyramid will consume everything humans, Thrixans, even the stars beyond. Mara's heart pounded. She wanted to chase him, to stop him, but she knew he was right. The murals had shown the only way to end the pyramid was with a willing sacrifice. Darren had chosen to give himself to save them all. The Thrixans, seeing an opportunity, lunged toward Darren. The pyramid reacted instantly. Beams of red energy shot from the crystal, striking them down one by one. Their armor sizzled, and their bodies disintegrated into glowing dust, absorbed into the walls. The heart's pulse quickened with each life it took, but Darren did not falter. Rolf grabbed Mara's arm. We need to move. It will collapse soon. She nodded, but she could not take her eyes off Darren. He stood before the heart, his body glowing with its energy. Slowly, he placed both hands on its surface. The light surged into him, and he did not scream. Instead, his eyes closed, and he raised his face toward the ceiling as if welcoming the end. The crystal heart throbbed faster, brighter, and then a deep vibration shook the entire pyramid. The walls bent slightly, and cracks spread across the floors and pillars. The energy beams became wild, striking indiscriminately. Stone pillars toppled, smashing into the floor and sending dust into the air. Mara grabbed Rolf and pulled him toward the side exit they had discovered earlier. This way. Quickly. They ran, dodging falling stone and arcs of red energy. Behind them, the pyramid groaned, the walls bending and twisting as if in pain. Each pulse of the crystal seemed to echo like a heartbeat across the chamber. Darren's figure, still glowing, was visible even from a distance. His form became brighter, almost blending with the light of the crystal. Then, with a final surge, the heart shattered from within. A wave of energy swept outward, knocking both humans and remaining Thrixans off their feet. The chamber exploded in a storm of light and debris. Rolf shielded Mara as the walls cracked, and the ceiling collapsed. The roar of the pyramid's death filled their ears, drowning out all thought. When the light faded, the pyramid was no more. Dust and stone covered the floor. The red glow was gone, replaced by a quiet silence. Outside, the desert had changed. Large portions of sand had shifted, and where the pyramid had once stood, only ruins remained. Mara crawled to her feet, coughing through the dust. She looked around. Rolf stood beside her, shaken but alive. They searched for the others. Crew members emerged from behind fallen pillars, limping but grateful to be alive. They called out for Darren, but there was no answer. His sacrifice had saved them all, but he had become one with the pyramid, ending its hunger forever. Rolf placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. He gave his life so humanity could survive. We have to honor that. Mara nodded, tears in her eyes. Yes. We have to live, and we have to remember. He saved us, and he saved countless others across the galaxy. The survivors climbed out of the ruins. The desert was calm now, as if the world itself mourned what had been lost inside the pyramid. Mara looked back one last time at the shattered remains of the place that had taken so much. She thought of the murals, the bones, the Thrixans, and the crystal heart. She understood the truth now: some treasures were not gold or jewels, but knowledge and courage. And some prices, like Darren's, could not be measured. Rolf helped Mara toward their ship. We should leave. Others may come to claim this place, and we cannot risk them feeding it again. Mara nodded, feeling the weight of their mission. They had survived, but the memory of what they had seen would stay with them forever. Humanity had faced the blood pyramid, and they had won, but at a great cost. As the ship lifted off, Mara watched the desert shrink beneath them. The ruins of the pyramid were still faintly visible, a reminder of the power that had nearly destroyed them. She clenched her fists. Humanity would not be afraid of such power. They would learn from it. They would grow stronger. Darren's sacrifice had shown them what it meant to be human. Courage, selflessness, and the determination to protect others. The galaxy was wide, full of wonders and dangers, but humanity had proven it could face both. Mara whispered to the wind, as if speaking to Darren himself. We will carry your courage with us. We will make sure the pyramid is never used again. Rolf looked at her, nodding. And we will tell everyone what happened. They will remember. Humanity survived because one of our own gave everything. The ship rose into the sky, leaving the desert and the blood pyramid behind. The red glow was gone. The pyramid had fallen, but its story would live on, carried by those who survived, by the courage of one who had dared to face it fully. And somewhere in the universe, life continued, safe from the hunger of the blood pyramid, thanks to the final sacrifice of a human who understood the true cost of discovery. The survivors of the blood pyramid returned to their ship, their bodies weary and minds heavy. Mara walked among them, noting the cuts, bruises, and exhaustion that lined their faces. Every step reminded them of what they had lost and what they had survived. Darren's sacrifice weighed heavily on all their hearts, but it also gave them hope. He had faced the pyramid willingly and had saved countless lives in the galaxy. Rolf sat near the ship's controls, repairing minor damage from the storm of energy inside the pyramid. It feels strange, he said softly. We should be celebrating, but all I see are the lives lost. Darren, he saved us, but at what cost? Mara knelt beside him. Every great victory comes with a price. Darren chose his path. That choice gave us the chance to continue. Humanity will honor him by surviving, by learning, and by never letting such power rise again. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly. The ruins of the Blood Pyramid were barely visible in the morning light, jagged and broken, a silent reminder of the danger that had nearly consumed them. Mara studied the place carefully. The pyramid is gone, but its story will remain. Others will hear of it, and they will know the cost of greed and ambition. Daron's name became more than a memory, it became a symbol. Among the crew, his courage sparked determination. Each of them knew that humanity's strength was not only in exploration or technology but in selflessness, courage, and unity. They had seen what one human could do when they acted for the good of many. Back on the ship, they prepared to send messages to Earth and allied colonies. The account of the pyramid, its dangers, and the ultimate sacrifice of Daron had to be shared. It was not treasure to be kept or used. It was a lesson. The galaxy needed to understand that power taken without wisdom could destroy entire civilizations. As the ship left orbit, Mara gazed out at the desert planet shrinking beneath them. She thought of the murals, the drained bones, and the glowing crystal heart. The memory of Daron's sacrifice gave her a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had survived the Blood Pyramid, and now they had a responsibility. The crew spoke quietly among themselves. One of them said, "I can still see the heart glowing in my mind." It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Daron made it end. Mara nodded. Yes. And we must remember that beauty and danger often travel together. The pyramid wanted to take everything, but Daron turned its power into an end, not a beginning. That is what makes us human, the courage to do what is right, even when it costs everything. Rolf sighed and leaned back. Do you think there are others like it out there? Other machines that feed on life? Mara's eyes were firm. Perhaps. But humanity will be ready. We have learned. We know the cost of greed and ambition. And we know the value of sacrifice and courage. That knowledge is more powerful than any treasure the pyramid could offer. The ship continued into the vast stars, leaving the desert planet behind. Mara and her crew reflected on the journey, the losses, and the victories. They understood that the galaxy was full of wonders and dangers, but humanity's strength lay in its willingness to face the unknown with courage and compassion. In the months that followed, the story of the Blood Pyramid spread across human and alien settlements. Scholars studied the data, learning from the murals, the energy readings, and the remains recovered by the crew. Humanity became known as a species willing to face the greatest dangers, not for personal gain, but for the good of others. Children on distant planets learned of Daron's bravery and Mara's leadership. The legend inspired countless others to explore, to study, and to protect life wherever they found it. Humanity's reputation grew, not because of conquest or weapons, but because of courage, wisdom, and the choice to sacrifice for the greater good. Mara stood on the bridge of the ship, looking toward the next star system. The galaxy was wide, full of possibilities and mysteries. She felt a quiet pride, knowing that Daron's sacrifice had not been in vain. Humanity had proven that it could face darkness, understand it, and survive. Are we ready for the next journey? Rolf asked quietly, standing beside her. Mara nodded. We are. Because we remember. Because we are human. And humanity will always rise, no matter the danger. The ship surged forward, stars stretching into lines as it entered faster than light travel. Behind them, the ruins of the Blood Pyramid faded from view, but its lessons and the courage of those who faced it remained alive. Humanity had triumphed, not through power, but through heart, wisdom, and the willingness to pay the price for what truly mattered. And so, the legend of the Blood Pyramid lived on. The galaxy knew that treasure taken with greed could destroy worlds, but that courage and sacrifice could overcome even the darkest of threats. Humanity, small but strong, had proven it once more.